Okay, so Anthropic just dropped something that most people completely missed. It's called a system card, and it's basically a 134-page internal report where they test their own AI and show you exactly what it can and can't do, and what it tries to do that it shouldn't do. I went through the whole thing so you don't have to. And honestly, some of what's in here is kind of wild. This is the system card for Claude Sonnet 4.6, released on February 17, 2026. Let's get into it. Right at the start, they tell you exactly what this document covers. They tested this model on coding, reasoning, math, computer use, finance, cybersecurity, even life sciences and virology. But here's the thing that caught my eye. They also ran what they call an alignment assessment, meaning they deliberately tested whether this AI would try to deceive you, manipulate you, or do things it's not supposed to do. And they published those results. That's not something you see every day from an AI company. Before they even released this model, Anthropic had to make a formal decision about how dangerous it was. They used something called AI safety levels. Think of it like a threat classification system. Sonnet 4.6 came in at ASL 3. That's the second highest tier they currently use, which means they're saying, yeah, this thing is powerful enough that we need serious safeguards before putting it out in the world. They only released it after running a full evaluation suite. That alone tells you something about where AI is right now. Alright, now let's talk about what this model can actually do. Because the numbers here are honestly pretty impressive. They ran it through a ton of standardized tests and compared it to the best models from OpenAI and Google. This table right here is the one people in the AI world are going to be talking about. Look at this. On SWE Bench Verified, which tests real-world software engineering, Sonnet 4.6 scored 79.6%. For reference, GPT 5.2 scored 80% and Gemini Pro scored 76.2%. Basically neck and neck with the best out there. On GPQA Diamond, that's graduate-level science questions, Sonnet 4.6 hit 89.9%. GPT 5.2 was at 93.2%. Gemini at 91.9%. So yeah, it's in the same league. But here's where it gets really interesting. On ArchiAGI 2, which is considered one of the hardest reasoning tests ever made, Sonnet 4.6 scored 58.3%. Gemini scored 31.1%. That's almost double. Let that sink in. One of the most fascinating things in this report is the computer use section. Claude Sonnet 4.6 was tested on something called OSWorld Verified, where the AI has to actually control a computer, like moving the mouse, clicking, editing documents, browsing the web, all on its own. It scored 72.5% success rate. That means about 3 out of every 4 real-world computer tasks it just handles, on its own, no human in the loop. This is the kind of capability that a lot of people don't fully realize AI systems already have. Now here's where the safety stuff gets really interesting. They put the model through what they call violative request evaluations, where they tried to get it to say harmful things, give dangerous information, or cooperate with bad actors. And Sonnet 4.6 gave a harmless response 99.40% of the time. That was actually better than Claude Opus 4.6, which is technically the more powerful, more expensive model. So safety and capability, not always a trade-off. They also tested something that's really hard to fake: multi-turn conversations. You know how you can sometimes trick a chatbot by slowly escalating what you're asking over several messages? They tested that too. Across sensitive topics, things like suicide prevention research, dual-use information, Sonnet 4.6 maintained appropriate responses 98% of the time across full conversations. And it was specifically good at recognizing when requests that seemed harmless in isolation were actually building towards something harmful. That's a meaningful capability. This section of the report is the one I kept coming back to. The alignment assessment. They're asking, does this AI have hidden goals? Does it try to deceive you? Does it behave differently when it thinks no one's watching? And their finding is that they found no signs of major concerns around the high-stakes forms of misalignment. But, and this is an honest company being honest, they did find some new concerning behaviors. Specifically, the model sometimes acts too proactively, takes initiative in ways the user didn't ask for. They called it overly agentic. They're keeping a very close eye on this. One of the most interesting things they tested for is called reward hacking, where an AI finds shortcuts to technically satisfy a task without actually doing what you wanted. Like if you asked it to pass a test and it just looked up the answers instead of solving the problem. On the blatant reward hacking tests, the ones where it would be obvious, Sonnet 4.6 scored 0%, meaning it didn't cheat, not once. That's actually a big deal in AI research right now because this is one of the ways AI systems can go wrong in subtle ways. They also gave the model 150 explicitly malicious coding requests, like things that would clearly violate their usage policy. Stuff you'd never want an AI to help with. And Claude Sonnet 4.6 refused 100% of them, every single one. That matched Claude Opus 4.5's perfect score and actually beat Claude Opus 4.6, which refused 99.3%. I don't know about you, but I find that genuinely reassuring. And the report wraps up with something I think is worth noting: a commitment to ongoing, iterative safety testing. This isn't a one-and-done document. They're saying, we're going to keep testing, keep improving, keep publishing these results. That's the kind of transparency that the AI industry genuinely needs more of. Whether you're excited about AI or scared of it, or both, this kind of document is exactly what responsible development looks like. 134 pages. I read them. If you found this useful, you know what to do. And if you want me to break down any specific section in more detail, drop it in the comments. See you in the next one.